What is up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the heroically humble Dr. Disaster, and it is refreshing to see a pushback against the powers that be which run the entertainment industry. As an example of this, Sydney Sweeney took a lot of shit this past summer from the feminists out there who were butthurt over Sydney showing off her assets in this ad from American Eagle.
Should we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes.
How about a hug?
Well, in a refreshing twist compared to what we usually see from celebrities who are under fire, Sydney Sweeney gave an interview where she was asked about the ad and was basically asked to apologize for having done the ad, and her answer was spectacular.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like, that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
The age of woke is over.
I just love the way that Sydney looked at that woman interviewing her with what appeared to be disdain and or disgust. And that is the proper mentality to have when dealing with the mainstream media, the so-called tastemakers. They don't understand why they aren't taken seriously, and that brings me to the topic of this video, the fact that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was just snubbed at a major award show which they obviously deserved to win, but they didn't even get nominated.
You know what? This is bullshit.
Shows like the Grammys are propped up by the mainstream media, and institutions like this love to pretend as though they are experts at everything, but occasionally a glaring freaking crack in their facade is exposed. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a small AA game from a studio without the connections of a big behemoth like Bethesda or Sony, so even though they have just about the most highly regarded soundtrack from a video game to have come out in perhaps decades, they weren't even nominated for a Grammy for the category of Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games. But you know who was nominated twice? Frickin' Ubisoft. So yeah, looking at these mainstream media types who prop this sort of shit up, looking at them with disdain seems utterly justified. They will smear you and ignore your positive accomplishments and give the accolades to people who don't deserve a damn thing, because the truth is,
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've had a lot of people tell me that they have been unwillingly unsubscribed to the channel almost every day. I hear from someone who says they didn't believe me when I talked about this phenomenon, but then they noticed that they themselves were unsubbed from the channel. I don't know why it happens, but I hear it a lot. So look into that and hit the notification bell while you're at it. But anyways, let's talk about this snubbing of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And you know, on the one hand, ultimately, I don't care what the mainstream media cranks out with these end-of-the-year award shows, because I know that they're really just a scam. I know that these people just kiss the asses of whatever companies pay the best and offer the early and exclusive access to these game journalists who write about the industry. But here's the reason that I still talk about this subject, the subject of game award shows and things like that. The reason I talk about it a lot is because I want to care. I want these award shows to be meaningful and to represent reality. I want people to have fun debates about which game deserves whatever award, and then for everyone to come together at these award shows and then cheer and celebrate like it's the frickin' Super Bowl for gaming. I want that all to be the case. So when I see some bullshit going on, even for an edifice like the Grammys, which I really generally don't give two squirts of piss about, but I point it out because that is the first step toward taking that that part of our culture back. What Sydney Sweeney did in that interview that I showed is excellent. Telling these people that their narratives hold no sway over our opinions is a great way to handle that sort of thing. But we have to flip things around on these jackasses in the media. We have to go further and ask them some uncomfortable questions, like why in the hell was Clair Obscur not included, at least as a nominee for cripe's sake, for the list of best score soundtracks for a video game? The only reason I can think of is that they are a small studio without the prestige of some of these big AAA studios. They don't have the name recognition, and they don't play the game the way that some of these studios play it, which causes them, these big studios that is, to get unwarranted positive coverage from game journalists constantly. Here is a prime example of what I'm talking about. This is the headline from a few weeks ago where game journalists, and there were a bunch of them who reported on this, but the journalists were talking about how actually sales for Borderlands 4 were amazing. They tried to claim that Borderlands 4 was actually outselling Borderlands 3, saying that it was the best-selling game in the series, and yet here is an example of the headlines that came out yesterday after the quarterly financial results for Take-Two Interactive were revealed, and sales for Borderlands 4 were shown to be, in their words, a bit soft. This is why we can't stand these people, because they are clearly in the back pocket of companies like Take-Two Interactive, and they don't even have the decency to admit it. In fact, they refute this blatant truth at every opportunity, but they are mouthpieces for all of these big studios, which is why we end up with a list like this for best soundtrack for a video game at the Grammys. And if there was any justice in the world at all, if there was ever any hope that these award shows would ever or should ever be taken seriously again, not only should Clair Obscur be on this list, but also Death Stranding 2, which also had a really good soundtrack, that should have been on the list. But I don't get the sense that the people responsible for these nominations, I don't get the sense that they know a damn thing about games. They probably haven't even picked up a controller in the past year. But look at the list here. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora got a nomination. That's a Ubisoft game. Helldivers 2, a Sony game. That one got a nomination. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle got a nomination. That's a Bethesda title. And then Star Wars Outlaws got a nomination as well, which is of course another Ubisoft game. So clearly, Ubisoft gets some sort of preferential treatment here, and to be clear, I'm not even suggesting that the composers for the soundtracks of these games don't deserve recognition. I'm sure they're all vastly talented people, but to be clear, the soundtrack for Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is legitimately being hailed by the gaming community as pretty much the greatest thing in these spaces in many years. It is being talked about as one of the greatest soundtracks for a video game of all time. so not listing it as a nominee for an annual award show truly comes off as an example of being snubbed in favor of the big corporate buddies of the so-called experts who vote on this shit. It's been bad enough for Clair Obscur lately in the video game world, with certain people pushing to make sure that it doesn't get voted for as the Game of the Year winner in proper video game award shows. For whatever reason, there are a number of people out there who really just don't want the game to win. Here's Shroud, as an example, doubling down on his sentiment the other day against Clair Obscur, saying in this clip that it's cringe if you vote for that game to win Game of the Year.
No way. Expedition 33 gave the year. No way.
I mean, like, it's just, you know, it's just.
So
like,
don't be
tickling.
cringe. Don't vote that game. Don't do it.
Sure, right? You know, you just
Vote
there
Arc
taking
Raiders.
pot shots at people.
I need to get paid for the things I say, dude. I need to get paid for this shit. Like, I give out the shit for free, dude. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's bad enough that the game, which clearly deserves to win, or at least be in the conversation about winning basically any award that it's qualified for, it's bad enough that I've seen a push against Clair Obscur in recent weeks from a few places, but to see them snubbed like this, completely snubbed, is just really shitty. If you ask me, Clair Obscur should have been nominated for music awards even beyond the video game soundtrack category at the Grammys, and there were people hoping that that would be the case, which would catapult gaming into the limelight and give the people who work on art in this medium some extra recognition. But no, once again, these award shows, these jackass tastemakers in the mainstream who gatekeep anyone who isn't one of these big corporate schmucks, they prove that they deserve our utter contempt. But I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your personal contempt for these gatekeeping turds into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching me, Hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.